Joining us now tonight is Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz, an alumni of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School and represents that district, I should note. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Scot Peterson was accused of taking cover for more than 45 minutes as that shooting happened inside the high school. Of course, a reminder that the shooter was actually sentenced to life in prison without the parole last year. What was your reaction when you heard today's not guilty verdict?
Well, it's shameful. It's no justice for the Parkland families. First, the shooter, who is solely responsible, got life in prison instead of the death penalty. And now Officer Peterson, who not only did not go into the building for 45 minutes and hid in the stairwell outside, he prohibited other officers that arrived on the scene from also going into the building. And so, what is the message this now sends to parents around the country? That a school resource officer that the kids trusted, he took that job knowing that his job was to protect those students, and he decided that his potential retirement, he was very close to retirement, his potential retirement was more important than their lives. I'm glad he got his life back. That's what he said on that video. But the 17 families who lost loved ones, the 15 kids that are in cemeteries, they don't get their life back.
Yeah, you saw those families in the courtroom today, some of them, of the victims, and they were just kind of silent as he was sobbing a lot as this verdict was read. I know you've talked to some of those families throughout this trial as this was going on. What were they thinking on this?
Well, they wanted to see, some responsibility taken here, because at the end of the day, he did not do his duty. And based on the information we have, and I'm not going to share some of the private information, some of the families, but there were some of the kids that were shot who did not die from their gun wounds. And they died by bleeding out, by not getting medical care. And in those instances, they blame the officer for not letting other police officers and medical care get into the building soon enough. So to say that, ultimately he had no impact on that scene, we'll never know that. But, that's why people depend on their school resource officers. These students who walk the halls with them every single solitary day depend on them. I mean, the good guy with the gun, he's the good guy with the gun. He failed. He didn't act. He didn't help those students, not once.
Yeah, and parents see someone like that as a source of comfort when they are worried about something like this. This was an unusual case, and a conviction essentially would have paved the way for law enforcement to be held accountable for their response to mass shootings. As you know, the police in Uvalde right now are being investigated for their response to that school shooting at Robb Elementary. Do you think there's a lane to hold law enforcement accountable for something like this?
Well, look, this is an egregious case, right? This is a mass shooting at the high school. He arrives on the scene, and he never goes into the building. Never. For 45 minutes, he stood in the stairwell, and he gave instruction to other officers who arrived. Okay, he didn't have the courage to go in. He stopped other officers who arrived on the scene from going in and helping those students. And so, yeah, look, I do think there bears some responsibility here. And I do think in these egregious cases, no one forced him to be a police officer. No one forced him to be an SRO. He knew what his job was. It's not like school shootings hadn't happened before. Any SRO knows that's a possibility at their school. And so, look, if the laws have to be changed at the state level, then I would support the state legislature looking into that.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thank you for joining us tonight.